So stop me if you have heard this one before. You have got an Apple Silicon Mac, an Elgato 4KX and an iPad Pro with an M series processor in it, and what's happened is you've updated your Mac to macOS 14.5, and after doing that your Mac will no longer see your 4KX, which means that OBS will no longer see your 4KX, and because before you updated to 14.5 your 4KX was in the 10 gigabits per second mode, which is what it should be in, but in 10 gigabits per second mode your iPad will not see it then. Now the problem is, because your Mac is now in a position where it can't see your 4KX, you can't switch that back to 5 gigabits in order for your iPad to see it, which means it is now effectively dead to both devices. Now, this is the actual scenario that I found myself in the other day. However, there is apparently a solution or workaround to this, and somebody by the name of Elgato James from the Reddit forum informed me about this. So massive thank you to Elgato James, and I just wish that other members of that stupid forum from Elgato on Reddit were as helpful as what Elgato James is, but I'm not going to get into that, especially get into my complete dislike for that tool, whoever he is, Elgato Phil, because he's a waste of time. Anyways, moving on. So what's happened here, what I've been told is this, and I will demonstrate this in the video. What happens is, apparently, if you have got video applications open and stuff like that, but I suspect it's beyond video applications, it means that the 4KX won't be seen when the Mac is running under 14.5. So what you have to do is exit all of the video apps that are open on your Mac, then power the Mac down, unplug the 4KX. Then what you do is switch the Mac back on again once it's booted in and there are no programs running, or specifically no video programs running. Then connect your 4KX back to the Mac, at which point when you then launch the Elgato utility, it will then see the 4KX, at which point what you can then do is flip it back to 5 gigabits per second. Then what you do is power down the Mac, power it back up again, reconnect, or you can leave it connected anywhere at this point, the 4KX. Now, whilst it is in the 5 gigabits per second mode, not only will it then start working again on the Mac, but it will also then work again on your iPad Pro. So basically, this is now what I'm going to show you in this video. Now, it's going to be a bit cramped in the shot that I do because I normally do screen grabbing, but for the purposes of this video, I need to have the stuff in the frame. So it's not going to look great, but you'll be able to definitely get a good idea as to what's going on here, and you'll be able to see that this workaround does work. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is to show you the scenario that I'd shown the other day where the 4KX clearly isn't working on my system, because right now it clearly isn't working still. And that scenario is to have certain things in the background open, which is apparently what may be causing these issues, or at least that's the way I seem to have picked this up from Elgato James from the Reddit forum. So right now, as you can see here, I've got Resolve open. Now, if I just minimize that, in the background, I've got like a web browser open, which just happens to be on a YouTube video. And then also here, I've got a video up that I was playing before. I was just doing some testing for exposure for me background and me t-shirt there. So between these three things, that video there, that web browser with the YouTube video in it, and also let's see, my Resolve there, or my Resolve project, between those three things, what's actually going on is that there is video being utilized. Now, I don't know whether or not it's video being utilized or just bandwidth being utilized, but apparently you're not supposed to have anything running with any video elements in them when you kind of reboot the system, which is what I will show you shortly. However, with these things on, I'm going to go to the Elgato Capture Utility device app thing here, and as we can see, there is no mention of the actual 4KX being attached. However, if I just show you the corner of me Mac there, hopefully we'll see that in the shot there. There is actually the USB cable there from the 4KX. Now, if I switch my monitor over to that second HDMI input, we should see the pass-through. There we go. There's the pass-through there from the 4KX, and I will show you, because if I take the input away, the pass-through will disappear. If I put the input back in, hopefully the pass-through comes back. Hold on, let's see, there we go. Okay, so 4KX clearly connected to my Mac, and it's doing the pass-through, but as we can see here, hold on, as we can see back here in Mac land, the Elgato Capture Utility app isn't actually seeing the 4KX. Now, if I go to OBS here, what I'm going to do, in fact, I'll create a new scene quickly, and then we'll just build a scene very quickly with the capture card in. So I'll go to Add, and then I'll add Video Capture Device. And then from here, let me select the video capture device. But as we can see, the 4KX is not appearing in this list here. Now, there is a second way of adding a capture device here. Let me do that. So capture card device there. I'll do it this way quickly. And as we will see, there is no option for the 4KX. Okay, so up to this point, this is exactly what I had shown the other day, which is my Mac can't see the 4KX, and obviously if it can't see the 4KX, it can't use it itself, and I obviously can't switch it back to 5 gigabits per second either, so that it works on the iPad Pros. Anyways, what I'm going to do now is to exit all of the open applications on my Mac. I'm going to power it down. I'm going to disconnect every single thing other than the power supply, and then we'll take it from there now. Actually, just before I show you what's going on now with the MacBook, let me just put this iPad Pro in the shot here. Now, don't worry about like focus and stuff here. We're going to clearly see stuff anyway as far as the iPad's concerned. I'm going to connect the 4KX here, and as we can see, there's a light there on the 4KX. Again, don't worry about focus here. There's enough for us to see what's going on. Now, if I go and launch the Elgato Capture app, as we can see, there is no image in there, so there's no picture coming through from the 4KX. And the reason why is obviously because the 4KX right now is in the 10 gigabits per second mode, and it's basically locked to that because I couldn't change it back to 5 gigabits in the MacBook, hence why I'm doing this video. Now, just quickly, again, if I flip back to the other input on this monitor, if you just give us a second, hold on. So if I go to the second HDMI input, we should see, there we go. So that now is the, hold on, that there is definitely the pass-through from my PS5 going through the 4KX, which if I disconnect that cable, as we can see, that's what's going on there. Okay, so now that that bit's done, what I'm going to do is disconnect the 4KX from my iPad there. We get that out of the way. So I'm just going to switch on my MacBook here. Now, don't forget what I've done here, just so that, you know, there's no chance of anything going weird when like when I reboot the MacBook. I powered down everything. So not powered down, I switched off all the software and the apps. Actually, give me a second. Let me just log in here. If I can find my mouse. Where's my mouse gone? Hold on a second. There it is. This is one of the reasons as well why I use an external monitor. I can't see crap on that screen. Hold on. Okay, so I'm just logging in here. Yeah, so basically what I'd done is to make sure that I'd kind of switched off any open apps before it, you know, it closed down, just so that nothing was tempted to open up when it switched back on again. So hopefully we've got enough focus here, and I will start zooming in a bit in post onto the screen. But there is absolutely nothing running here. Now, from what I could understand from what Elgato James was telling me, it was important to not have any video type apps running. So anything to do with video, such as like QuickTime or VLC, or even editing programs and stuff like that. However, I would go so far as to say, don't have anything running whatsoever. Okay, so in this instance, as we can see there, or hopefully, there's nothing open, or the taskbar's not indicating anything open per se. Anywho, what I'm going to do is to connect the 4KX back to the MacBook here. And don't forget as well, I also don't have my usual junk connected here, so none of my Thunderbolt ports are consumed with things like me Thunderbolt docks and stuff like that, and my external Thunderbolt SSDs. And immediately, as we can see there, if I just open that back down, there's the pass-through now gone straight onto me monitor at the back, because that's still on its HDMI 2 input. So we can clearly see that I've got the pass-through going through there now. Now, what I'm going to do, and hopefully we've got focus or enough of it. Let me just tilt that back a bit more. I think that's where it was. What it is, I'd already pre-focused the screen, but now I've been moving it, so it's probably going to go out of focus, but we will definitely get to see what's going on. So now, what I'm going to do, without anything else connected to the system, I will launch the Elgato Capture app, and this time it will look like it's working. There we go. So it's definitely working now. As you can see, it's picked up the 4KX there. Sorry, jump cut. I've just had to deal with a distraction at the front door. Anyways, as we can see here, as soon as I opened up the Elgato Capture Device utility, it was indicating that the 4KX was attached to it. So now we can definitely see it. Now, from what I can understand from what like Elgato James was saying, is that this would appear to be because there is now nothing else running, although I suspect that in my particular situation, it might also be because I don't have my usual junk connected to the Thunderbolt, because I'm not entirely sure that it's just video applications that are getting in the way here. I've got a feeling that this is down to bandwidth as well, in which case I would definitely have been draining a lot of overall bandwidth because of my attached Thunderbolt devices. But nonetheless, what I'm going to do here is to switch off the 10 gigabits per second soft option here, or the soft button. So that's now switched off. Okay, now what I'm going to do is exit that app there, and then I'm going to close down. In fact, actually, before I close it down, what I'm going to do, I'm going to disconnect from the computer the 4KX there, get my words out correctly. Now, let me just get my iPad back open again here. Hold on. Let me just get my Face ID thing on the go. Now, what I'm going to do here is just get the iPad back into shot again after connecting the 4KX to it. Like I say, this is all a bit messy because I need to get everything into the shot so you can see exactly what's going on, and also just so that you can definitely see that I'm not missing any steps out or anything. Okay, so there is the 4KX connected back to the iPad. There we go. As you can see, 4KX got its light on, but more importantly, there's the pass-through going on. Now, if I open my Capture utility for Elgato, okay, that's interesting because that's not working. Hold on a minute. There we go. Okay, so as we can see, there is now the picture for the 4KX on my iPad Pro. Sorry, I'm getting a bit kerfuffled here because the picture didn't come up immediately. However, it is definitely working, as we can see. Now, I'm not going to do any. Well, actually, I'll do a quick capture test. Okay, so hit capture. There we go. As we can see, the counter's going up there for whatever it is that it's recording. And as we can also see, there's the audio meters there, because obviously there is definitely audio coming through on the basic desktop thing on the PS5. Now, I'm not going to go playing stuff back here because that's not what this video is about, is to play examples. It's just to show you that it is now definitely working. So that's definitely working on the iPad Pro. Let me get that out the way. Now, what I'm going to do is power down the Mac here, and you have to power it down. You can't just switch it to 5 gigabits per second and then it works at that point, or at least it hasn't for me. So I've had to do the power down and the restart. So once again, at this point here, I am not connecting my 4KX before the MacBook powers up. So what I'm going to do, let me just power up the MacBook here. I'll try and do this bit in real time, in fact, just so that you definitely can see the whole process going on. It shouldn't take too long. Come on, hurry up. These things were supposed to be fast. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is just to log in. Hold on. Okay, that's just logging in now. Now, as soon as this logs in, what I'm going to do is then connect the 4KX after it's logged in. There we go. So I'm going to connect the 4KX. Now just quickly, as we'll see, the lights come on, and then shortly we should get the picture in the background, which is the pass-through from the PS5. There we go, so pass-throughs come back on. Hopefully we can see that there. Now what I'm going to do is just quickly go into the Elgato Capture app here. And as we will see, we don't have the 10 gigabits options showing. So at this point, what we would have to do is to hold down the option key whilst the app is open, and then we could switch it back to 10 gigabits. But we don't want to do that because it'll never work at this point with 14.5 as far as macOS is concerned. But that's just to show you anyway that it's definitely come back there, and it's in the 5 gigabits per second mode. So I'll exit that. Now what I'm going to do is go back to OBS here. And then let me just, what I'll do, in fact, at this point as well, it's probably worth noting that even if you had scenes made up and stuff, you may have to recreate scenes, because sometimes what I find is when something has gone missing from the system, OBS doesn't always reconnect it automatically back to the same scenes that it may have been within. So what I'm going to do here is just quickly create a new scene. And then I will go into that scene there. I will add video capture device, and we should immediately have the option for the 4KX. There we go. So I'm going to tap on that. Now, if I just OK that, as we can see, there's the picture up there. Now, that was set to auto. Now, let me just quickly show some stuff in here. What it is, I've actually got, my setup here is for 4K, so obviously that's showing us a 1080 preview there inside a 4K frame. So what I'm going to do is go back into here, and I'm going to do some manual settings, because unfortunately we still go back to having a whole bunch of problems with the 4KX. This doesn't fix anything other than being able to see a device which has already still got problems. Okay, right, so let's see, I'm in 4K there, and we can't actually select the frame rate immediately straight away here. What we have to do first is give it an input format. So I'm going to say that it's NV12 there. Then I can go back at that point. No, I can't. I'm going to have to select color space. And here's the first of the problems. We still can't select Rec.709. But I'm not going to get hung up on that one. So there we go, 601. Now I can go back here and I can select my frame rate, which is going to be 59.94. Also, the video range there is set to limited. Now we should really have two options there, limited and full. However, in this particular scenario, when you're recording 601 or 709, you generally are recording a limited signal anyway. So the fact that that isn't going to give us any other options wouldn't be a problem. The big problem here is the fact that we are not getting 709. And as I was talking there, we could see that once I'd set all these parameters correctly, or most notably the resolution and frame rate, it automatically rescaled the input back into the actual canvas size there in the background. So if I OK that now, as we can see, there we are. And then if I just go and add a bit of audio, hold on, where are we? I can't see this screen, this is too small. Right, and my eyesight's terrible. So there's the Elgato there, and as we can see, there's the VUs there. That's given us like what's going on the PS5. So now at this point, my system is back to the way that it was before I had my main issues after updating to macOS 14.5. Okay, so as we could clearly see there, then this workaround definitely works. Now, don't forget, it is only a workaround. It is not a fix. This basically just takes us back to a position that we were at a while back. And don't forget, now that we can't go into the 10 gigabits per second mode on the 4KX, that means that other things are now still going to be missing once again on the Mac. Now, I've not thoroughly tested this or anything, so I've not done any capturing. However, knowing that this is now only going to be in 5 gigabits in order to work, it definitely cannot do the things that 10 gigabits would require. So I don't know, maybe we are now back to 4K 30 on particular setups and stuff like that, and we can't do 60. However, However, if we can do 60, that's definitely an indication that MJPEG is being used if we are at 5 gigabits per second, because physically and mathematically and electronically, that is the only way to get 4K 60 at 5 gigabits per second. However, I have still not seen any indications within OBS that MJPEG is being activated and stuff like that. So for me, what this is going to do here is just take me back to a position that I was at maybe 2 months ago, something like that. Now, for other people out there, I appreciate that this may work for you or get you past the point that you're happy with and stuff like that. And if that's the case, then that's fair enough. And I'm not going to criticize somebody who's going to be recording in the wrong like color space, or they're not recording with the best video transport streams from here to here and stuff like that. It's entirely up to you if you're happy with your current workflow. However, I would strongly recommend that anybody that comes across this video or comes across these 4KXs does not buy them specifically for Apple Silicon. If I were you, I would wait until we definitely know that it definitely works with both the Apple Silicon Macs and also the iPads properly in 10 gigabits per second, and it does exactly what it's supposed to do, or at the very least it does exactly what Elgato advertised it to. So without jumping on me high horse here, the last thing that I will say is that this 4KX has never worked to the specifications that Elgato advertised it to work at. Now, I've done a number of videos about these things, so I won't ramble on about it again now at the end of this video, but take it from me, this 4KX has never worked to the specifications that Elgato said it was capable of working at on Apple Silicon. Anyways, that will definitely do it for this video before I get right back on the high horse and start giving people at Elgato a bunch of crap, which is what they deserve, except for Elgato James. So once again, I would like to take this opportunity to say a massive thank you and 2 big thumbs up to Elgato James for helping us all to correct this particular situation and take us back to where we were about 2 months ago. I'm David Harry. Thank you very much for watching this video. Take care and goodbye now.